it's time to have a casual chat and a very simple video. This is the second one of these that I have done, at least as far as I remember, with my previous one being a summer shelf rearrangement video. Today I will be rearranging for autumn, and I'm going to be talking through my rearrangement decisions, as well as just giving some general life updates and channel updates and things of that nature. So it's going to be very simple, very casual, and a really good way for me to convey some things that don't really fit into other videos. Obviously, because we are finally entering autumn, I'm going to be going for a more autumnal vibe, probably with some purples and oranges and yellows, something along those lines. It's time to get rid of some of the yellows and blues and move on to something that is a lot more my personal vibe. Now, I would like to go for just orange and black because I really like Halloween, but probably not the best background decor for the next 3 or 4 months. Obviously, as we are heading into autumn, I'm going to be picking some more autumnal colors. So because this will be a cozier and simpler video than what I normally do, let's go ahead and grab some tea or whatever the heck you happen to drink. And what are we doing? Oh, chat. Now, as always, we are going to begin by simply ripping all of the books off of the shelf, like this. Now that we have... Oh, why is this all angled weird? Hold on. I know what it is. I'm way too far over this way. That good for everybody? Are we all happy now? Boy, it is getting really hot in here without the AC on. Man, I hate summer. I'm so glad it's almost technically autumn. I have to turn my AC off to film because it's a window unit and it gets insanely hot in here very quickly. So every time I film, I'm like, oh God, I'm so ready for winter. I'm sure that was very annoying and I'm just going to cut it, but whatever. Okay. So now that we have taken all of the books off of the shelf, it is time for us to start dusting it because it gets very dusty up in here. So take it away. I will sit and wait. Thanks. Now, with any luck, this is actually going to be the last time I rearrange my shelves in this space. The goal is for me to have moved out probably by the end of this year, if everything goes well. I'm looking at houses. I'm actually going out to physically look at houses on Sunday and maybe another day next week. So hopefully I find something that I really like. I have my eye on a couple. One of them is a major fixer-upper that I'm kind of thinking I may take on. I don't know. We'll see how all of that goes and what I think about the houses I see. But hopefully you will see new shelves in the future and potentially a dedicated filming space so that I don't have to keep tearing this all down and setting it up every time that I want to film a video because that gets pretty tedious. Over the last several months, I've actually been in a bit of a reading slump, although I'm not really certain that I can classify it as a reading slump because the real problem hasn't been that I don't want to read, and it's more that I just haven't had the time or the energy to do so because of all of the things that have been going on in my life. If you aren't aware, I took the entire month of July off because I had a couple of classes that I was taking and things of that nature, and now I'm catching up on my D&D progress and doing a lot of painting, and I'm doing all sorts of other things like writing and many other projects, as well as trying to improve the quality of these videos, on top of so many other things that have been going on. And so I genuinely haven't had time to read. I haven't been able to play any games, haven't been able to do anything, even sleep. I actually took the entire month of September off from work because I never really used my vacation days. So I used all my vacation days for the month of September so that I can just relax and unwind because my day job has been getting really exhausting lately and consuming a significant chunk of my time. And as soon as I did that, I finished Hunger of the Gods in like 2 or 3 days when I wasn't that far into it before, despite having constantly been trying to sit down and read it. So maybe it's just my day job that's exhausting me and not all of the other projects. Who'd have thought?
Not me.
Also, if you're wondering, Hunger of the Gods, fantastic. I loved it even more than Shadow of the Gods, which was my favorite read of the year until I finished Hunger. So John Gwynne is really killing it with the Bloodsworn Saga. I cannot wait for the third book. Now, I'm going to be sticking with the general aesthetic that I went for with my summer one in terms of having some books facing outward and not dividing them up by series, but arranging them by color. I really liked the look of that. But this time, I think I'm gonna have some more books that are facing outward, and I'm probably gonna bring in a new art book that I got recently that I really like the cover of, and that I think is gonna go somewhat well with the new aesthetic. And it's a little bit creepy, so it's gonna vibe well with the Halloween era seems pretty intense for just Halloween time. So I think I'm gonna go for a little bit more of a jumbled up look this time, so it's gonna be even messier than it was before, but I think it's gonna work and I think it's gonna look really cool. This is the book I was talking about. This is Soul Arts. It is a Kickstarter that I backed a long time ago, and it is created by VaatiVidya and several fans of the Dark Souls series who created beautiful fan art of it and just art that is inspired by the series and anything that FromSoft has produced. So if you are a fan of Dark Souls or even just the aesthetic of Dark Souls, whether you're a player or not, this is a gorgeous book with some absolutely fantastic art in it. Just opening to, oh, a bookmark fell out. Even just opening to a random page, you're going to find some really beautiful artwork. So I don't know, can you see that? I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of hard with all the glare. If you want more of a deep dive into it and you want to see what it's all about, VaatiVidya actually put up a video recently where he kind of walks you through the book and shows you a whole bunch of the gorgeous art pieces inside. So I definitely recommend checking that out. In my opinion, this was totally worth the money that I paid for it, and I'm really excited to finally display it. I feel like the golds and red and then the blacks kind of go with the Halloween-ish vibe. So while it's not totally autumnal, I think it's still going to look pretty good on the shelf. So I'm going to put this facing outward. As you can see, it kind of takes up a whole chunk of that shelf there, but I think it's going to look pretty cool. And I'm going to just stack a bunch of books here so this whole shelf is completely filled. I think I want to do every other book like this. I think that would look a lot better, like do black, purple, black, purple, black, purple. So I'm going to take a minute and arrange them like that. One thing that I did want to chat about, just something that I've been thinking about doing, is a sort of gaming channel. I have a couple of videos that I've done relating to video games in the past that have done pretty well. Again, pretty well for me is like anything north of 100 views. So getting 300, 400, or 500 views on a review for a video game or a discussion about video games is pretty meaningful to me. But this isn't really going to be a gaming channel, so I'm thinking that if I want to do that, I'm going to start another channel for that, and I might do like gameplay videos and things like that before I talk about the video games and what I think about them and that sort of thing. It would also be an opportunity for me to talk more about D&D, although I don't know how well those two niches would meld together. If you aren't aware, and if you didn't watch my 1 year on YouTube video, then you're probably not quite sure what I mean by niche, but essentially it just means that your channel really needs to focus on one thing and one thing alone, and the broader you are, the less successful you're going to be in that particular niche. So gaming and D&D probably wouldn't mesh well together on one channel, but I would like to talk more about D&D because it is a significant part of my life. Right now, you can really only find my D&D discussions either by looking at my unlisted videos, which you can find through the blog, or by going to my personal Instagram, where I tend to talk about those things more often. And speaking of D&D, another thing I wanted to mention is that my current campaign is slowly coming to a close, and I really do mean slowly. We've been doing this campaign for almost 2 years now, and with my current trajectory, I'm thinking that we're going to be at the finale of the campaign before next summer. At least that's ideal, assuming that everything goes well and we don't have to cancel a bunch of sessions. Anybody who has ever been part of a D&D campaign knows things are not going to go well and there's going to be a bunch of sessions canceled. It's just the way that D&D works for people. Especially when you're an adult, scheduling conflicts are going to pop up. But my hope is that by the time I end this next campaign, we're going to take a summer off, and then I'm going to start up with our next campaign. And with this next one, I would really like to actually record it. One of the reasons why I want a new house is so that I can build a full-fledged D&D studio that I can make a whole production with and do some really cool video stuff and all of that. So I'm hoping that is something that happens, and it's something that I'm actively thinking about and planning at this time. Now, that doesn't mean assume it's definitely going to happen. Anything could occur between now and then that would prevent it from taking place. but that is a hope that I have and something that I would really love to do. Having a actual play D&D game that I can share with people would be fantastic. So it's something that's on my mind, and hopefully I can start building that studio once I get a house. Those last couple of shelves, what I think I'm going to do is they're kind of going to be my throwaway shelves. So I'm going to be stacking quite a few books on those. I'm going to have them be more messy. They'll have some books that have their pages facing out, things of that nature, and probably going to try to get all of my books on this shelf this time. So I selected quite a few books to have facing outward this time. I picked Soul Arts, Equal Rights, The Truth, Piranesi, and an Unfortunate Events book that you can't actually see because it's behind the librarian, but depending on the angle, you might get a decent view on it. So those are the books that I selected to have facing out, and then I have, of course, my Wizard of Earthsea copy that I absolutely love. This illustrated edition is fantastic. Strongly recommend it. I kind of continued on with the scheme of having everything be in one color group, but then I've also divided them up, like this is orange and black, and then I've got some blues and reds here. Yeah, I don't know. I think that it looks a little messier than the previous one, but also more interesting. I've got some more depth going on, so I'm pretty happy with this one, and I look forward to the next one, which will hopefully be in a new space. And we're done. This is my shelving. This is it. I'll probably post some photos as well. I'll most likely put those on my Instagram, instagram.com/TLBainter. So thank you very much for taking the time to check out this video. Now, before I go, we are forgetting one thing, and that is the lights. I always change the lighting colors to match the season as well. Before I do that though, I did want to remind you that you can like, comment, and subscribe to support me, and all of those things do greatly help out the videos. The videos that I've had that have done the best are the ones that had the most engagement and comments and likes, so I really appreciate you doing any of those things, whether you are subscribing or just dropping a like. Anything helps a great deal, more than I think people realize. So thank you very much for taking the time to do those things. And now let's go ahead and change out my lights. Where's my app? And there you have it, my new autumnal look. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that it was as cozy and casual as I was hoping for it to be. It actually was a lot more work to create than I thought that it was going to be, so I didn't have a very cozy, casual time with a lot of this, but I hope that you did, and I hope that you will be around for the next one. Next Wednesday, I'm actually giving my recommendations for beginner reader fantasy. It's confusing. They are fantasy recommendations for people who either can't read or are just beginning to read. You know, really tiny humans. They're like that big. Those little ones who really struggle to read or who you have to read books to. That's what I'm recommending next time around. I'm actually going to be going through age ranges over several videos as I recommend fantasy books through the years. So that is going to be next Wednesday, and the Wednesday after that I have a massive essay that I've been working on that I'm looking forward to having the video out for. So keep an eye out for both of those videos. I really appreciate you checking out this one, and until next time, bye.